Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of this week's episode of The Strain on FX. This week we've seen Season 4, Episode 8, which is called Extraction. And yeah, so after what hit the fan in last week's episode, we knew that the end of the season, or the end of the series I should say, had really kicked into gear. So full spoilers if you don't see the all caps word in the title. So definitely don't watch this review or any of my other ones if you haven't seen the episode. But yeah, this was an incredible episode. These past two, this one and last week's episode, Ouroboros, I think are some of the best of the entire series. Big fan of The Strain. If you guys see the little poster right there, also have a really cool Strigoi heart prop, which I may show in a video on its own sometime. If you want to see it, go to my flashback horror weekend experience at the convention recently. But yeah, big fan of The Strain. I've really liked every season, and this season has lacked a little bit. I do think they missed a chance, with the way they started off. I wish they would have shown those 9 months that they skipped over. But at the same time, through all that, I kept saying that I would trust the show, I would trust everyone behind it to bring it, at least in the final episode. Or at least once they really got focused on the final climax of the story, and here it is now. Everything that's happened with Satrakian, what happened with Icorst last week, it's really just delivering like I had expected and wanted it to since before the season started. Just such great and well done payoffs for these characters, I think. Satrakian especially, of course. It really brought everything full circle. And of course we knew Satrakian's time was numbered. If you know the character, he probably wasn't going to make it out of the show alive. That something like this was sort of bound to happen by the end of the series. But I wasn't sure it would happen in the 7th episode last week, and then sort of conclude in this one. I thought it would have been in the last episode or two maybe, but I do get this timing as well. Just really well done. It was great and very satisfying to see him finally kill Icorst last week, even if he's not there to see the Master be destroyed. Icorst was really sort of his main enemy throughout the entire series. We've seen all the flashbacks of their history. So all of the Masters, been the ones who are pulling the strings. Icorst has a lot of times been the one to deliver the damage that has been done to Satrakian's long life. So it was great to see Satrakian finally be able to kill Icorst last week. But with this one, of course he was stunned. People had wondered if the blood thinner he used, as well as his white that he's used for himself to keep himself alive, to keep the fight going over the years, would actually be able to fend off the infection. Unfortunately that wasn't the case. I didn't think it would be. Of course I had hoped, but it's not it's not this kind of story. And just when we see, I was surprised to see Fat and Quinlan get to the others so quickly. But it's within the final 2 episodes after this now, so I'm glad actually. But when they got there, just when we see Satrakian turn around and see his eye partially red, and his voice is slightly deeper and things like that, my heart sunk. Not because of disappointment or anything, but just out of sadness, because this is a character we've spent 4 seasons with now. In ways he was sort of our main protagonist. It's debated between him and F, and F is my favorite character. But Satrakian in a lot of ways was sort of the driving force behind trying to stop everything, from the beginning. Really arguably our main hero. through all we've seen him go through and things like that, and his connection with the others. Just really daunting and very sad and upsetting sight to see him like that at all. And I thought the acting from everyone was great, especially David Bradley, of course. I thought did an excellent job on this episode. I thought he was great in last week's episode as well, with his conversations with F and things like that. But him portraying, his slow turn that he was going through, as well as, still his determination to get the answers out there for, those he cares about so they could carry on the fight, when he dies. I thought was very respectful to the character and what we know him as and for. And it gave us that closure, I didn't expect him to just do it halfway through the episode, though. I thought they would have put us off to the very end of the episode or something. But before we get to that, though, he does come up with this new possibility on how to defeat the Master, separating him from his collaborators, from his limbs, as he understands that Lumen is saying now. Now it's debated by F and some of the others if this is the Master sort of taking over his mind, if they're trying to if the Master is influencing Satrakian at this point to try and get him to steer away from using the nuke, because the nuke is what could really end it, as opposed to taking him away from those that come to support him and killing him that way. Now I'm not sure. I would like to think that perhaps Satrakian was still in his right mind, and that, as strong will as he was able to hold off for long enough to actually get his plan out there to, the rest of them. I think that's possible as well, because it also said it would come at a cost or require a self-sacrifice of some kind, which is something I see potentially F's character, maybe Fett's, but more so F's character coming to in the final episode. Self-sacrifice, and destroying the Master for good. I've talked about my idea for F for a while, but so I think what Satrakian is saying may be true, but I think it also may be like a sort of a culmination or like a combination of the nuke and something else to do with the Master besides that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's finally put away in the final episode. It's going to be intense as hell. It already is intense as hell, and I really can't wait to see how they do it. And the Strain's really delivering now. This was, like I said, one of the absolute best episodes of the entire series. And some of these scenes with Satrakian from this weekend last week, I think, are some of the best of the entire series, and just entirely. Of course, my dog is trying to squeeze in around my legs right now. Anyway. Like I said, it was just so well acted, and to see Satrakian, luckily we didn't have to see Satrakian's head actually fall off, but he has Quinlan do it. Still very effective. I also really think Ruta Jedimentes, or Dutch, did a really phenomenal job in this episode. Just to see her reaction to it really hits. It hit me anyway. It really got me in the feels, you could say, but. Yeah, I'm kind of worn down by this, honestly, but it's really well done. And then of course they end up going after Desai, but we'll talk about that in a second. They also have this sort of funeral for Satrakian, which I thought was really good. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more time on that scene, but I liked Quinlan's speech about them not focusing on the grief and mourning him, but realizing what he would want, and let what he taught them and what he represented to them mean something, and keep fighting, keep trying to do what he spent his life, trying to redeem and accomplish, for himself as well as what he lost, which I thought was good and it made a lot of sense. I also liked F's, reaction to everything as well. Very subtle, very great acting from Corey Stoll, I thought, and of course Kevin Durant did a nice job as well. Gus, Miguel Gomez, he didn't really show as much as the others, but he didn't spend nearly as much time with Satrakian as the others did. But they go after Desai because that's where a lot of the Master's main collaborators are right now. Dutch they end up infiltrating the facility, which is nice to see that come back around, for Dutch's sake anyway. Dutch manages to finally chase down Desai and stabs him in the foot and everything, which is nice after a little, crawl chase sequence type of thing. Which I do think it felt a little bit stretched out after the Satrakian thing, the whole infiltration of the facility, but it wasn't bad. We just have 2 episodes left now anyway. But that was fine as well, but they want him, to figure out where the Master is exactly so they can set off the nuke or do whatever they're going to do that way. So I did enjoy that. And, we also see Zack, and apparently the Master has this grand plan that he can do now. And of course he goes around this market, asking for F and the others, and F goes to see him himself. Of course, mixed feelings on that, as he was telling Alex, throughout the season. Of course he still cares about him because he's his son, but he doesn't really know how he feels about him anymore. He doesn't. In ways, he probably he knows he has to put him down. I hope they don't try and find some way to redeem Zack or try to, get the kid out alive or something, and because he's still good, right? I really, really hope they don't do that. I hope the thing is that F puts him down the end, or takes Zack with him somehow in his self-sacrifice, But Zack's definitely got something up his sleeve. Is he gonna infect F? Their sort of de facto leader now, along with Fett, or is there something else? I don't know exactly, but still a very good episode. If I had to rate this, I'd honestly give it a 9.7 out of 10. Like I said, definitely one of the best episodes of the series for the Satrakian thing alone. And the facility infiltration was still fine too, and good setup for the final 2 episodes. I also like the scenes between Fett and Dutch sort of reconnecting with each other. That was pretty touching as well. And also, Quinlan's fight sequence in the, with the meat hooks and everything, I thought was really cool. So yeah, 9.7 out of 10. I honestly thought it was that good. That's how much I enjoyed it. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this one. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.